Greetings to everyone. So thank you so much for the opportunity for me to present on the topic of Buddhist Ode to National Liberation, the Liturgy of War and Atrocity. Specifically in the context of Theravada Buddhist society, which I draw some case studies from um, northern, northeastern, and central Thailand, while at the same time also including Laos and Cambodia. But the case that I will be reciting today, partially, it will be focusing on Central Thailand and Cambodia. So let me begin with showing the slides. Okay. So my research was inspired by both in terms of concept and context. So at first I was inspired by the work by Trent Walker in 2018, that the Buddhist mantra recital and song soothe the living and the dying from individual suffering. And the case study that he focused on, it's a kind of Buddhist liturgy in Cambodia for funeral that is called smot. Also, smot is always performed in the funeral service to soothe the living and also to soothe the soul, or to soothe the dying also. While at the same time, I'm also curious how can arts, as you know, music is a form of art, can also engage in collective healing, and that's how I find the work by Brett Lee very useful in terms of he studied trauma, but through the eyes of Cambodian visual culture, both in homeland and diaspora. So that's a kind of inspiration from the concepts that appear in academia. While at the same time, I'm also inspired from an event that I will discussing about it soon. So this paper will focus on a genre of Buddhist liturgy, which performs as a collective healing in the wake of wars and atrocities. So for the contextual inspiration, I was inspired or was struck by a historical incident, that is the plane crash in central Thailand, but actually most of the passengers are from Chiang Mai, northern Thailand. So this plane flew out of Bangkok and heading towards Vienna, but finally fell in the national park nearby Bangkok, and it caused 223 deaths totally. What's important about this event or this incident is that there are 4 types of people from Chiang Mai that pass away at the same time. So first is provincial governor, and since Chiang Mai was, once upon a time an independent kingdom and autonomous kingdom, so they have their own dynasty. So part of the royal family from Chiang Mai dynasty also passed away. There's a doctor passed away, and also a tycoon or a millionaire in Chiang Mai also passed away. So this kind of essential categories of leadership in Chiang Mai pass away at the same occasion. So that's a bad thing that could cast an omen to the downfall of the city. That's how people get together and seeking some ways to recover, the spirit or the mentality of people in Chiang Mai that's afraid of the city's downfall. So at some points, there's a conversation around a lost manuscript, a Pali manuscript, the language that is used among the Theravada Buddhist country, called Upatasanti, or basically means the chant that pacifying the unprecedented atrocity. It's under the date of the composition is unidentifiable. Why it is believed that it's written in 1406, which is equals to 1949 in Buddhist era, and every 1000, because this current Buddhist religion is believed to last for 5,000 years. So 1949 is close to 2000. So this kind of beliefs always prescribes as every 1000 there will be a moral decline or social decline within the Buddhist society. That's how, this is the context of this very manuscript was created, and it was, performed again in Chiang Mai to comfort people from the loss of leadership. Another case is from northeastern Thailand and also across the Mekong River to Laos. It's called Julachaya Mangkalakatha, or Small Words of Blessing for Victory or Triumph, which is also unidentifiable in terms of the date of creation of this manuscript. But basically, it's believed to be written when Buddhism first introduced into Laos. So based on the sources, the oldest manuscript now is kept in Luang Prabang in Laos. So it's believed to be written around 1359 in Christian era, and also 1902 in Buddhist era. That's 1 century before another decline of religion. But for the genre of this paper, I will be more focusing on another genre that is under-recognized. It's called Sarapan, or from the study of Ellingson. He explained from the case study that he conducted his research on Sri Lankan Buddhist chant. He explained or described Sarapan as intoned recitation, usually involves a narrow melodic range, and is thought to relate to the Vedic system of 3-pitch metric style. Vedic is a part of Hindu. But within this research or this paper, I loosely translate Sarapan as the ode in a way that it means a lyrical poem glorifying an event or an individual for a good or bravery cause. So the first case that I pick up, it's the Sarapan from Bangkok or Central Thailand, and specifically the composer of this Sarapan is the King Vashiravut, or King Rama VI himself, on the occasion of launching Siamese army to join the fight in World War I, or in 1918. And it's interesting in the way that this written poem in the form of Sarapan is based upon an old version of Buddhist verse featuring the episodes of the great triumph of the Buddha over the Mara or the demon. So in the eve of enlightenment, the Buddha encountered the threats by the demons to testify his intention and his conviction towards the pursuit of nirvana or enlightenment. So he was testified by the threats of demons and his allies. So this kind of poem parallels the event that Siamese army joined the fight in World War I with the episode of the Buddha's encountering the demons. And this is a scene from a Thai painting featuring the scene that Buddha was threatened by, both sides. There are like a number of demons, threatening him at the throne of enlightenment, you see. That is believed to be the Bodhi throne, the Bodhi tree, which is now in Bodh Gaya in India. So they are fully equipped, while he had nothing, you see. He has only robe and his tree, he just sitting under the tree. But finally, he defeated with his virtue, as you will see later on in the translation that I made within that poem. So since each poem that I will be performing today is pretty long, so some poem I will skip it. So บางเมื่อพระองค์ปรมาพุทธทวิสุทธศาสดาตรัสรู้อนุตตรสมาทินโพธิบัลลังก์ So this is the translation. I'm sorry, it's fall out of the screen because I expanded. So this is the translation of the poem, and I will skip to show you the recital, only some parts of it. You can see the skillful great demon fearfully on his elephant invaded the place. Well equipped with a variety of deadly weapons, his army proceeded like searching ocean wave. This is very poetic, intended to harm the Lord. The Lord means the Buddha. Instead, they were defeated and dispersed, finally. Not by the Buddha's force, but by his virtuous perfection and the supremacy of the Dharma recalled by the Buddha. Thus, he triumphed. And this part I also want to recite a little bit because it's important in terms of the implication to the history. ด้วยเดชะสัตย์เจ้าวัจนะและนามามิองค์สามขอจงให้ก่อนพลาสยามชัยสิทธิ์ที่ทุกวัน So may the force of Siam always triumph ถึงแม้จะมีอารีวิเศษพระเดชะเทียมมันขอไทยผจญพิชิตตะพลันอริเมนมุนินทร So regardless of fearful foe, at the same level of the skillful demon, may the Thais ultimately defeat them like the Buddha ever succeeded. So it ends with this. Then we move on to the case of Sarapan in Cambodia. That's in Cambodia they call Bot Sarapan, written in 1957, which is in the Buddhist era. It's 2500. 2500 is so important because it's exactly the midpoint of 5,000, right? The midpoint of the religion. It's a belief that every 1,000 or every quarter of religion will see the decline of human society or ethics or moral or people's morality, and it's composed by Somdet Songkharet Chunnat, or the Supreme Patriarch of Cambodia, who lived through the period of French colonization. And we need to understand that within this period, both his experience also, infused with the experience under colonial governance, right? Um, World War II, right? Because 1957 is after World War II. Also, Cambodian independence, um, took place in 1953. So it's a time when there's a lot of questions about identity of Cambodia, and then immediately Cambodian people also face the uncertainty of the belief that we are at the midpoint of religion already. So this is how he composed this poem to soothe and comfort people and society to create that temporality, alternative temporality. So I also the same as the former Sarapan, I also would like to only recite some lyrics. សូមថ្វាយបង្គំព្រះសម្ពុទ្ធប្រសើរបំផុតក្នុងលោកា ជាគ្រូនៃមនុស្សនិងទេវតាទ្រង់ត្រង់ទេសនាប្រដៅសត្វ So most of the poem is glorifying the Buddha, his virtue, and also talking about the contribution of Buddha's teaching or the teachings of Dharma that will alleviate people's suffering and can, liberate individual. At the first layer, can liberate individual from the samsara or the endless cycle of birth and rebirth. And the religion never ceases to offer satisfaction to those who are committed, still talking about individual, right? Making their efforts in moral training and practice according to the teachings. Nothing can be compared to peace because peace arises from cessation of suffering now and forever. Satisfaction is implied to the rise of peace. And may I pay homage to Dharma. Previously, pay homage to Buddha, and then Dharma and the Sangha, all called as the Triple Gems. The Triple Gem is something that the Buddhists always take make a symbolic vow to take a refuge to the Triple Gems. So may the Triple Gems offer the great refuge in the world. And this is also another part that I will be reciting because this is the last lyric. เปรียรูปเปรียเทียบในเปรียพุทธสดดำนางองเปรียงเจษดาสมกุลไตรรสช่วยแคมราเอาบานศกขาต่อเรียงเติม So you can see the Buddha images and relics or the material, all represents material of the image of the Buddha. All represents the presence of the Supreme Being, that means the Buddha. May the great refuge bless Cambodia to obtain perennial peace. So this is a kind of hint that we can sense about the temporality or what it feels like, when listening to this melody in the wake of the warning of moral decline or social decline. So I come to the conclusion that by the case of Sarapan, as a genre of ode in Buddhist liturgy, which needs more attention. From the cases that we learned from Cambodia and Thailand, particularly, Sarapan resonates with the repertoire of the national confidence and comfort to accommodate the collective need of refuge amidst war, atrocity, and uncertainty. In other words, Sarapan serves to liberate the nation from fear and anxiety. What does it mean when this very melody is still being heard repeatedly? Because right now, if you go to Cambodia and Thailand, this kind of lyrical poems, the Buddhist ode to national liberation, is still being sung and being sung repeatedly. What does it mean? If it's born out of that the context of uncertainty and creates alternative temporality. So what does it mean when it's performed repeatedly, even in the contemporary context? So this question will require further investigation. Thank you.